Hey. Welcome, everybody, to Bridging the Seen and Unseen. I am your host. I am Stan McLain, and this is the wonderful Gwen. How are you?
Guys, I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Got cats sitting on me, and they're warming my lap up, so I probably have a fever right about now, but, because I don't know. Cats, for some reason, they can walk around with like 110 temperature and they just find it's like they're okay, and then they're sitting on me and then I wake up like in a sweaty box because I've got like 15 cats on me. Ridiculous. But I'm good. It's been a rainy day today. It's just been one of those days to where it's like, let's put some scary movies on, or something like that, or But I don't know. Did they cancel school where you guys are?
I don't know because I don't know anybody over here that's in school. I'm actually visiting my friend over near Myrtle Beach. It's easier to say that because most people have no clue as to where I am. So
Upper Conway, Lower Ainer, boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm near Myrtle Beach, and there has been some storms today. We got out for a while, and it was raining heavy, so we stayed in most of the day.
And the thing is, I'm in Beaufort here, so they canceled school here because of weather issues, and we got rain, but it wasn't nothing to where it was like they should have canceled anything. I don't get it.
I don't know. I know they were calling for tornadoes and all that stuff, and I was like, okay.
They don't know. They don't know. It's like
a little bit. So
it's real. Like when I was growing up, we had a guy named Patrick Prokop, and like my father believed, like if he spoke weather, it was gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always wrong. If he said it was 100% chance of rain, there was no rain. The second he said there was 10%, the sky was going to fall out. That's just how it was. I don't know. So we never looked at it like that. But when he said 10%, 15%, we're like, oh boy, here we go. We're about to get it. Hurricanes and all kind of, whatnot. But guys, listen, tonight we have an awesome guest. I'm very curious about this gentleman. I've never had the chance to really interview or talk to a real stuntman, and I've got some questions. So can we bring in the great Mr. Bill Perry?
Oh, well, I got to say first, I met him at D-South Paracon, and he was giving us hell about their Southern accents, and he hasn't heard mine in a while, and you'll have to see what he says. Here we go.
Are you guys going to put on subtitles for when Gwen's talking?
I know. I know.
Like I'm watching something.
Angie, my wife just told me, she said there are subtitles.
That's
there actually are. Yes.
Yeah, but does it pick up the accurate things that you're actually saying, or is it creating its own language?
It could
AI.
Be either way.
No, I heard you say you've got this great guest coming on. Is he right after me? Because I'm really
you.
No. I was talking about you. We were talking about stuntmen and things like that. And it's always amazed me because like first of all, can we start out? Thank you for being on the show. Yes. Could you tell us like who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. It's I actually, if you see me in movies, it's going to say William Perry because there was already another Bill Perry in the union, and they don't allow two people to have the exact same name because then we don't know where to send their checks. But so I was William R. Perry, not to be confused with William the Refrigerator Perry. For those of you old enough to remember,
I do. My dad was friends with him.
There. But I'm the exact opposite of him in that I'm about 5'6", At the time I weighed about 120, 125 pounds. And so I doubled kids. And back in the 80s, we were dicing up kids like sushi. And so they had stuntmen, but most of the stunt guys were really bulky. They were ex-gymnasts. So, you know, they had big arms and chests. And I don't look like that, and I never have. So I made a good double for young ladies as well before the crop went south. And so, yeah, did a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I did a few of those. The Lost Boys.
That movie is phenomenal.
If I had to watch one over and over that I did for the rest of life, it's very likely the one I would call. People Under the Stairs.
Is this one from
Return
the
of the
Lost
Living Dead
Boys?
Part 2?
Can you look and see if they tell me if this is one of the? I can't tell.
Oh, that's Predator 2.
That's
Yeah, that's definitely Predator. Yeah.
Now people look at that picture and they go, "What is he standing on?" The ground. And he's so much taller than me. And I remember asking him, "What is it like to be so tall?" And he says, "It's filthy. Nobody cleans the top of their refrigerator. Nobody cleans the top of their picture frames or their door frames." And he sees it. And I'm like, well, it's pretty clean down here. People are pretty good at the 5'6" level. People are very tidy.
We are the exact same height, man. So I feel you. Yeah. You know, it's like when you're in school and watching these tall guys do the limbo.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, you know how ridiculous y'all look? You know, we could just clear it, you know.
It's very unlikely that I've bumped my head because I didn't know.
Right,
you know,
right.
So anyway, I did most of my work back from I would say about 1985 to I guess about 2000, about 12 years, and then a little break, and then another couple of years. And just doubling kids. Wanted to get work as an actor, but a lot of times they'd say, you know, you're a good looking kid. You know, if you see those pictures you showed, I was actually a pretty charming looking little guy. But
there's
they see
one.
Yeah.
You know, and all the girls that you'd be auditioning with were like 5'8". And, you know, Tom Cruise is renowned for being short, as is Sylvester Stallone. But there's Sylvester Stallone and Tom Cruise. Not me.
No, Sylvester, hold on.
Oh, yeah,
how tall is Sylvester Stallone?
He's about maybe 5'7", 5'8".
Really?
Really?
Yeah, he's actually a very short guy. Michael J. Fox is a full 2 inches shorter than me, but he's also Michael J. Fox. So
yeah,
he's got that going for him.
Wow.
So again, all my work was mostly, except for Predator, where I actually got a chance to do a few lines. Most of the work that I did was, you know, getting thrown out of a car, getting hit by a car, getting run over by something, stabbed, lit on fire, attacked by an animal.
I knew you were going to say that fire thing. That's my question.
You have to hear him say this. He cracked me.
The fire stuff is so dangerous. It's such a stupid thing to do. What they often do, they'll put you in a suit, and it's called Nomex. It's a special fabric that doesn't burn very well. And they'll coat it in frozen gel, like just barely gooey, but frozen. And you put this on as quickly as you can. And then they pour lighter fluid all over you, or whatever the accelerant is. They light you on fire, and then you dance around and do whatever they ask you to do until it gets too hot, which can be 20 seconds, you know, for sunburns, depending on what other clothing you're able to wear. But once your body temperature gets to 106, good night, Irene. You're
so
dead.
you have no. Is everything covered while you're on fire?
Can be. I mean, they'll have times where your face is exposed. And the idea there is they're just not going to light your chest on fire.
You're going to be in motion most of the time.
Yeah. Usually running, because you find that it's a pretty natural thing to run when you're on fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very normal to be running when on fire, looking for something that's not on fire to jump into. But they light you on fire, and then the heat starts to build up, and then you raise up your hands, and there's half a dozen people with cold blankets and things to snuff you out as quickly as they can. Because that heat really builds up quick. It doesn't feel like anything until it does. Yeah,
they would get mad at me, though. I'm telling you, they get mad at me because, like, I don't think I would run right off, but I would pee enough in my pants that I would.
Well, that's going to keep some things better, yeah. We did a stunt for a movie where we were supposed to be a cult was deciding to kill themselves. And so we had this thing where I'm sitting on the ground and I douse myself with this fluid and I light myself on fire. And a guy walks over and he, holds hands with me like this to say goodbye. And the fire goes shooting up off of me onto him. Coolest thing ever. Bare skin though. Ooh. So they would put the gel on your skin and then light it. And then you get maybe 5 seconds, 6 seconds.
I mean, do you feel it though when it hits your, when it hits you?
Oh yeah. Instantly. And then it just becomes how much can you take before it's actually doing damage? You don't want damage. So it's like, okay, that's hot. Now it's too hot. I mean, just that fast. But, you work with a crew that really knows this stuff. Stunt coordinator I worked with was a guy named Tony Caesar, who kind of taught me everything I know and was kind of my mentor. He was the man. If you see, he was the marshmallow guy in Ghostbusters. Oh, yeah. He was the thing. He was Freddy Krueger when they burned up Freddy in the first episode. Anytime you see a major fire burn, it's 80% of the time it's Tony because he was the guy that you went to for that stuff. But scary stuff. But at the time, I'm 26, 27 years old. I'm invincible. Nothing's ever going to hurt.
Yeah.
Until you're like 35 and you're like, how many concussions have I had?
Well, that's what I was asking her. And I'm like, how do you just like wake up one day and be like, well, Mom, I think I'm going to stand on top of a building and have them light me on fire. And I just want to run and jump out of it.
Well, it's funny. It's very gradual. Like when I decided, this guy, Tony, said, hey, I got this kid. He looks just like you. And I said, yeah. And he goes, he's your height, your weight, hair color, eye color, everything. And he said, he's the same build. And I really need this for a Disney show. And it was Wes Craven actually directing my very first show. And it was a Disney TV show. People don't know that Wes did a lot of TV and a lot of Disney. Wes
Craven?
Yeah. Yeah. So he brings me out and he says, you're going to be in the car. And I said, okay, what's the car going to do? He said, you're going to be going up and back down the sides of the LA River, which is like a big concrete river, runs through downtown. And I said, is it going to crash? He goes, not supposed to. I said, am I driving? He said, no, you're a little kid. I said, so what am I doing? He said, you're a passenger. And I said, and you can't just put a mannequin in there? He said, no, it doesn't look right. It doesn't react right. A body needs to be a person. And we're not going to put the kid in there just in case, because bad things happen. My career kind of took off when that Twilight Zone accident happened back in the early 80s. And so they said, no more kids on set, which was like, shooting. I mean, I feel bad for the kids and for the people that got hurt, but it was one of those things. My career just took off because
what happened there? I don't know if I'm familiar with.
In the original, there was a movie, the Twilight Zone movie that they made around, I'm thinking like 1985, 1986, somewhere around there. Yeah. And the helicopter was supposed to be floating above these 3 people. It was this guy and he's holding 2 kids. Well, they really put the 2 kids in his arms and the helicopter fell and cut them all in half.
Oh, God.
It was horrible. There was no reason they shouldn't have used a stuntman. There was no reason they should have been using real children. Nobody would ever have known because it was such a distant shot and you couldn't tell. But John Landis, being John Landis, wanted what he wanted. And even though everybody told him it was a really bad idea, he did it anyway. And the helicopter fell and it literally just cut them all in half. And it was just horrible. And after that, they're like, no more kids ever on set unless they have to be. And so I would work on the Wonder Years. Well, there's no stunts on the Wonder Years.
No.
I mean, nothing scary. I mean, sometimes the kids, slip on a slippery floor. They're playing soccer and somebody falls down. But their goal was not so much to keep the kids safe because the kids would have been fine. They wanted them in school because that's better for the kids. They want them to have a good education and as normal a life as one can have. So the kids would go off to school and they'd bring me in and pay me $1,000 a day to do some little silly slip and fall. I'll take that all day.
Oh yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. And then, so that's what started kind of like that. And then somebody would say, hey, how are you about going through glass? I said, I love going through glass. And then I'd call my buddies, hey man, what do I got to do to go through glass? And they're like, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll get together this weekend. We'll teach you how to do it. And so I had a martial arts background and a skateboarding and motorcycling background. So I had a lot of the basic skills and a lack of self-preservation that one has at that age. A lot of whacks to the head kind of makes it easy.
Especially skateboard and stuff like that. You're invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all told, I've had 7 concussions.
Oh,
that's not a good thing.
No.
But
It's like
these
my
things.
wife back there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last thing I remembered.
See?
So it's not as good as it could have been. I did protect myself. I just the stuff that you did. I got hit boxing one time. I got hit in a stage play where we were supposed to be staging a fight, and the idiot hit me.
You really got hit?
Oh yeah, right in the middle of the show too.
Oh,
I could tell I had a concussion. The whole world's just kind of spinning. I said, "We need to start very soon." I don't remember where I live, but I do know my lines. I finished the show. We all went out to lunch. It was a matinee, and somebody said, "So you feeling better?" I said, "Better about what?" And they said, "I got hit tonight." I said,
You had already forgotten it.
"I got hit today?" And they said, "Yeah, during the show." And I said, "We did the show today?"
And they're
No,
like,
no.
we might need to take him somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a lot of visits. I think at the I had a punch card at the the local hospital. After your 5th concussion, you get free ice bag or something. And you break. I broke my wrist, broke my nose a couple of times. But at the time, it was just like I was having the time of my life. This is everything I wanted from the time that I was 5 years old. It's like I just want to be in movies.
Oh,
And
That's
people
awesome.
would tell you you're never going to make it. It's never going to happen. It's like never going to happen for you, not this guy.
So you've always kept that you've always kept it in your head. You knew that's what you
It was
wanted.
the only thing in the world that was going to make me happy. And I remember my mom when I told her, I said, "I think this is what I want to do," and she said, "Will anything else make you happy? Anything?" And I said, "No." She's like, "Get after it. Do the best you can." And because of that, like I was working for my family business for a while, and somebody calls and says, "Hey, can you go to Europe for a few months?" I said, "Sure. What are we doing?" They said, "Oh, you'll be touring with Michael Jackson, doing the big shows he's doing all over Europe." I'm like, "Well, let me look at my calendar. I think I'm available. Sure, let's go do that." And so I take off to Europe for a summer, touring with Michael Jackson on stage with him every night, and 100,000 people, out in the audience. And if I hadn't decided young that I was going to do whatever I could do, that never would have happened.
What were you doing with Michael Jackson? You weren't moonwalking, were you?
No, I can. He did teach me, but it's not good though. It looks lame.
Hey, that is a talent now.
It is.
That is a talent. I mean, like I have seen some crazy looking people that can't even hardly walk, but they can moonwalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The deal was at the end of the concert, Michael would put this flight suit on, and then we'd bring out this big box and we'd pull out this rocket belt out of the box, and we'd strap him in it and he'd fly away. Now, it wasn't actually Michael, because that would totally just be so dangerous and very difficult to fly the rocket belt. A buddy of mine was actually the pilot. And so there was a little magic trick where we would switch places. My buddy was actually in the box with the rocket. And what had happened, Michael would bend down to pick up the rocket, and they would switch places, and then Kenny would stand up, and then we'd strap him in, and he'd, be waving to the crowd and stomping his feet, looking like he's trying to do Michael. And Michael's in the box now, and they pick up the box and they take it out. Michael's in the hotel by the time we finished flying that thing. So he was long gone. And he'd fly around the audience for about 20 seconds, land the rocket, and we'd go home. And so I worked about 10 minutes a day for about $10,000 a month. All expenses paid, best hotels in Europe. Best thing, I mean, really the most fun you can have with pants on. So
yeah, no kidding. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I was trying to think. I mean, that wasn't like. So you were doing. That's also stuntman work and all that too.
Yeah, I was considered a safety guy. My job was to make sure when we get to the venue, I'd make sure there's no guy wires, that we have to watch out for. I'd make sure there was a path for the vehicles to get in and out, make sure there was, a clear path, and then just make sure that nobody tried to mess with the belt. One night, a woman saw the rocket belt. We were taking it off away, and she reached up and she grabbed it. Well, that thing's white hot inside of 2 seconds. And so she got a nice little souvenir, probably at least a second-degree burn. And I told her, I'm like, stay back, Michael. I'm like, well, that's going to leave a mark. You better get yourself a little Neosporin for that one. So yeah, so that was my job, was just to be there for that. And, but there's, like I said, we were part of the magic trick, and we were part of the, on stage, we're looking at, our checkboards, which have nothing on them. And we're talking through the radios, making Michael Jackson sound. Yeah.
So when you do these, like, I don't really know how they, so being a stuntman, is there like a list of you guys, and then whatever you guys played in, they contact you? Do you have are you booked for set shows throughout the year?
Yeah. I was on Star Trek, The Next Generation, the first year of the show, because they had a kid. In fact, I think you showed him on the screen.
Yeah, here, let me pull that one back up. I've got some of the pictures up here. It just wouldn't load every one of them. Let's see if there it is.
So there's Will Wheaton, and you can see he's a little bit taller than me. Well, after the first season, Will grew 6 inches. And so I was no longer a good double for Will. But the way they picked me to double Will was that they brought up a handful of stunt guys. We all showed up one day, and they went, "What's your waist?" I'm like, 28. "What's your chest?" 34. They're like, Will's like 28. Like, "That's your waist or that's your chest?" He goes, "That's my chest." And they go, "Who is the smallest?" "You, Bill." "Get over here." And then he grew 6 inches, and I get back there and I'm like, "What the F is wrong with
that guy?" Grew 6 inches in one season?
In one season, yeah. So now I'm way too short. I don't make a decent double for him anymore. And so we had to find another guy. But what they would normally do, I was Corey Haim's stunt double for a little while. I doubled him on Lost Boys. And
Lost Boys, yeah.
Great film. And then another one called License to Drive. And then I'd also doubled Corey Feldman on occasion. So they had me there on set just in case.
I can't see on the little bitty screen. You don't have to tell me, is this one of them? Because I can't.
That's Will Wheaton. Not Will Wheaton. That's Ira Hayden. Ira worked on Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which is me and him there. But we also did, just a few months before that, we did Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So same actor. So if you found somebody you were a pretty solid double for, you would try to stick with them. Try to schmooze up to him and say, "Hey, if they call you," that's a guy named Stiv Bader. Stiv was a punk rock metal, proto rock punk metal thing, and that's for a movie called what is that called? It's with Tim Robbins and John Cusack. Anyway, so I had to shave my entire body because that man had no hair of any kind except on his head. And so they would look at me and they're like, "Dude, are you wearing a sweater?" No, I'm Italian. And I had a tail at one time. My mom had it docked. But no, I'm a hairy little man. So they said, "All right, it all goes." And so they shaved me like a peach. And that was just one day. And I had little, beard rash across my entire body for weeks. But
this is one too. This is the one
and now that's Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
That's I remember that.
And Andres Jones, nice guy. And so when he had karate scenes, he was not much of a martial artist. And at that time, sort of neither was I anymore. My brother's a 9th degree black belt, and he said, "Did you tell people I was your teacher?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Oh, thanks, man." Wow. Pull that knife out.
Yeah, I remember that guy. I remember him on there. And they had, you were thinking "Oh, this guy's a martial artist," but then he starts moving and it's like, dude, you are not a martial artist.
Not that vibe, and then the nunchucks and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was the kid, or not the kid, the guy from Home Alone 2, a guy named Rob Schneider, who's actually, still alive and doing stuff. But he's not making movies that I would double him in. But we did Home Alone. And so you'd find these actors that you were a good match for, and then you just try to follow them around as best you can. But
so you would follow them, or they wouldn't set you up with it? They wouldn't like...
They might ask the actor, hey, do you have a stunt double that you've used before? And hopefully put a picture in, your card in their hand and say, hey, if I'd love to work with you again if you have something else coming up. But most of the kids I doubled, they grew, and so I really couldn't double them because it's like, yeah, that was 2 years ago. And now they're, 4 inches taller than me because they grew up and I just stayed 5'6". Yeah.
Well, I mean, was it like I hear you talking about the height and everything like that, but I mean, do you think that that's really concentrated on though, when it comes to stunt work?
It really is. In fact,
really,
yeah, because well, okay, here's an example. When we were doing Predator 2, there was nobody 7'3" that was in the business of doubling the Predator, but there was a guy who was 6'4". And so what they did to make it work, they built the sets a foot shorter, and they had a little tiny Danny Glover double, and they had a little tiny everybody. So they would build the sets smaller so that he would look taller. And so it really does matter. You would notice it. It's a pronounced sort of thing. And so, I mean, in an instant, you wouldn't notice it, but in a 45, 50 second scene, yeah. And people do pick it out. People are like, wait a minute, a 7'5" or 7'6" Predator got into a train car and he's just standing up. It's like, yeah, one of the few places I have to duck is in a subway. Yeah. The Predator was a solid 2 foot taller than me. So
how did you guys get it on Predator like that? I mean, like, how did you guys use was he like, there's no way. I mean, it's hard enough to find people that are close to 7 foot tall, much less 7'5".
Yeah, Brian Simpson was like, say, 6'5". And so what they did was, again, they would just make, if he had to be doing the stunt, they would have everybody else around him would be proportionately smaller as well. Sets would be smaller. Things you'd hold in your hand would be smaller. So if he had a big spear in his hand, they had a one that was just for Brian that was smaller, so it would look just as big as the one that Kevin had when Kevin was holding it. So it's really you don't see it until you see it, and then you're like,
I bet you that outfit, boy, whoever had to wear that, I bet you that thing was 150 degrees. Yeah.
And they did things to make it easier. They would have like the whole front of the head would come off so he could breathe. But yeah, you're wearing 45 pounds of latex. Mm-hmm. You're gonna sweat. I mean, that's like being wrapped in saran wrap for 8 hours a day. And they would just try to keep him cool and try to keep him hydrated, because even if he felt okay, you are just, you're just stewing in your own juices all day long.
That's
but
what
Kevin,
James said too when he played Jason.
Yeah, and he wasn't necessarily, I mean, he's wearing a suit, but the
his
rubber
suit covers everything, and then he's got the mask over it, because I saw him at Deep South also. Meet strangest people there. But
from time to time I would get to wear some, like I was a zombie, so I got to do the zombie makeup thing, and it's fun. If you're not doing it all day long, I can understand why Robert Englund wouldn't want to do Freddy anymore. He's in the chair, 5 hours a day. 2.5 hours to put it on, 2.5 hours to take it off every day, and then touch-ups all day long, because once you start talking, you're making little small tears in the mask that they've got you in for the day. But for a couple of days, it's so much fun. The best makeup artist in the world making you look like the coolest zombie. Mm-hmm. Get out of here. So much fun.
I'm gonna start popping up some of your pictures, and you
and explain some of these, as she pops them up like that. Yeah.
All right, so let's see. I did the one with Will Wheaton. Let's see which one.
There's a little Predator 2 action there.
All right. Yeah, I think that's the same shirt, right?
Yep. Same guy. Yeah. That's just like a behind the scenes. Now that's what do you call it? Star Trek. The first episode called Counter at Farpoint. The only thing about that water I'm falling into is reclaimed water.
Oh.
Think sewage. Think brown trout and the other non-edible fish. And it's only about maybe 8 inches deep. So I had to fall. I had to make it look like it was, like livable and something you could land in. And I had to be completely hazmat cleaned after that because that water was funky. So of course they're never going to put the kid in there.
Oh yeah. Okay. There's Predator 2.
There's a bunch of stuff from Predator 2. Yeah.
I'm pulling it off.
Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy. Yeah, I remember that.
Oddly, I was a double for a woman in that one. I was basically when she falls from a height, it just had to be a body. It wasn't going to look. You weren't going to see very much of it. So since I had the legs of a 17-year-old girl, they could use me, and the arms too. I'm up to a B cup now, but back then, wasn't quite so well endowed. So yeah, they would use me. Like there was a show called Bates Motel, a TV show that was on just.
Oh yeah.
And Lori Petty. I made a great double for Lori Petty. Her mom, I actually fooled her mom. It was pretty fun.
Did you?
But yeah, they did. They would use me as a girl sometimes if the girl had short hair because a stunt girl didn't want to cut off all their hair just for one day.
Oh right.
And I already had short hair, so as long I could put on a little wig or something, but they weren't going to cut their hair just for a day. So. They bring me in, and I made a pretty decent double, and I look good in fishnets. Don't let anybody tell you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Freddie's Dead. Now that's a kid named Sean Greenblatt, and I doubled Sean also in Newsies.
Oh, cool.
So another thing where, like I said, once you found an actor that you felt like you had a connection with, grab on because the more shows they do, the more shows you get to do.
Did you give them like a picture of you and him next to each other? So then like if he's traveling or something like that, he's like, oh, I do have somebody. And then
like when we did
marketed yourself.
We did Home Alone 2. They were filming that in New York, and I'm based in Los Angeles. And I had done a show with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. And this woman that was on the show there was a guy that normally doubled the guy I was doubling, but they just hated working with him. He was a little prick. And so she liked me. She said, Bill's fun and he's appreciative and he's just so damn happy to be here. It's true. And so they called me and said, look, we really don't want to work with this other guy. Are you available? I'm like, and so $10,000 a week to fly to New York a week. This is back in 1995.
Oh yeah, that was golden.
A lot more money, and they fly me first class to New York, put me up in the Plaza Hotel. I'm there for a week, and I do 5 minutes worth of work, and I still get the full week's pay and residuals. I mean, I still get really nice residual checks because they show Home Alone 2 every Christmas.
Yeah, every Christmas.
They show all the Home Alone. Yeah. They also show all the Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Yes.
In October, and Return of the Living Dead 2 and Lost Boys, all the good Halloween movies, the spooky movies. So it's actually, at the time I thought horror movies were like Kleenex. It's a one-use thing and you throw them away and nobody will ever care or ever see them again. And maybe 5 years ago, people started saying, well, wait, you're the guy from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, I mean, yeah, but I'm not the actor. And they're like, no, you did the thing with the wheelchair. Like, how do you know this? Yeah,
people nerds now. They find out
because they do. And when my best friend Lee Waddell was the ghost face in Scream, and somebody brought him in and said, "Hey, we want you to do a signing." I said, "Who the F would want your signature? You're nobody. You're less than a nobody. You were wearing a mask at the time. At least people could recognize me." And he's like, "Dude, you have no idea." And I'm like, "You're right." And so now I do all of his social media and I help him, let people know where he's going to be and when he's going to be there. But he's like, people know. And he's the original Ghostface. He was the guy that killed Drew in the opening scene of Scream.
Oh, man. All right.
So so like that reaction that you're making, that's Lee's bread and butter right there, baby. And so he does 10 or 15 shows a year, fly him all over the world. He dresses up in the original outfit and does, conventions. And it's he makes more in one convention than he probably made in 5 years of his career. because people know who he is and they want that picture, and they do photo ops with him and all that stuff. That's how I met Gwen, actually, was I had done their show down there. And it's really weird because I just imagined that this was done. I had a good time. And then when somebody treats you like a movie star, and says, hey, will you come to our convention? We'll put you up in a nice hotel and we'll fly you down here and people will come by and they'll pay you for your signature. It's like, get out of here. No, they really will.
They really will.
You got to be kidding me, because I'm just Bill. I don't think of myself as I had I'm blessed with a career that people would die for, but to me, it was just, I had a nice job and I really enjoyed it. But when people tell you, oh my gosh, that movie means so much to me, it's like, really, why? And then they tell you, a kid was telling me, well, the older man now, he said, when Nightmare 3 is like this touchstone film in my life. I'm like, Nightmare 3 is this classic to you? He goes, well, I'm in the movie theater and I've got this girl, Susie, and she's so pretty. And it's like our first date and she's so nervous and I'm nervous, but she's all clinging up next to me and it's a hot summer night and she's wearing a cami, a little camisole, and she got scared and she bumped up against me and I had my hand right over here, and I got some side action on that boob first time in my life. And it was like the greatest day of my life. And I'm like,
that's funny. That's funny.
This isn't about the movie anymore,
That's funny. See, I live in Beaufort, South Carolina, and we still have a drive-in theater here.
Yep.
We still, right up the road from where I live is still this drive-in theater. But when I was a kid, that's when Nightmare on Elm Street was there. And we went and saw that. And my mom said I was so glued on it, she didn't even think that I was blinking. But after it, on the way back, because it was probably a 45-minute ride home or whatever, they said that I fell asleep in the back. And my mom thought it would be some kind of joke because I was wearing like a tank top and shorts and stuff. And she grabbed her nails and went like this across my leg. And she said I jumped from a dead laying down, hit my head on top of the roof of the truck. And I screamed really loud. And she said, you sound like a little girl.
Well, the law still is, you can still prosecute for that. That's, I'll call Child Protective Services for you.
Yeah, please do. Please do, man. Because that was traumatizing for me,
and you'd get other stories where somebody would say, my dad took me out to see, whatever movie it was. And it was an R-rated movie. And we didn't tell my mom. We were going to go out. He took me out to a big steak dinner and we watched the movie together and we never told my mom. It was like our little secret. And my dad treated me different after that day. So this is like a growing up thing, And those stories are amazing. They make you just choke, and you recognize that although, again, it has less to do with the movie than that moment in their life. They remember the movie so well because something else going on in their life was, this movie kind of paired with it like a great song. Everybody's got a song. They're like, oh, when, my first girlfriend broke up with me, I heard Peter Frampton's, Baby, I Love Your Way. And it was like, oh, Peter, you know what I'm going through, man. And so some of these movies have that same kind of connection with people. And so when somebody comes to me and says, oh, I'm a big fan, it's like, you're a big fan of the movie. And I totally get it. And I love to sign things and I love to tell stories clearly. But it's one of those things you just don't know that until, now I think it's 35 years since we did People Under the Stairs.
Have you guys had a reunion or anything to where like a bunch of you guys got together and...
Yeah, we did. When I was at Scarefest last October, we had the biggest Nightmare on Elm Street reunion of all time. I think there was 20 of us, and I was in 3 of those. And then they also had the Lost Boys reunion, and then they also had People Under the Stairs reunion, and they had they had 8 different reunions that I was part of, all in one show. So it was kind of cool. People would come by and I'd say, what's your favorite movie? And they're like, oh, this one. And it's like, oh, that's over here. Or wait, you did this one too? And yeah, I did that one. And so it was really fun just to have people come by and just sort of, kind of celebrate your career. It's like, hey man, I was happy then. I mean,
that's awesome.
To sit and, to tell stories and tell them something they wouldn't know any other way. They're like, so when you're doing the wheelchair thing, how did they make the wheelchair chase you? It's like, you wouldn't know this, but they pulled it with a Volkswagen engine on a big long wire. And you can see the wires if I tell you where they are. And so they're like, tell me more about that movie. And then they go home and they watch it again and they see the wires. And then they call their friends. You got to come over. You got to watch this because you got to see the wires. And then they enjoy the movie all over again because now they got a little tiny connection to it.
So they didn't see it before. And then they, yep.
I talked to the guy and he showed me the wires. And look, you can see him doing this because if that thing catches his leg, it's going to cut his leg off. And so they now have a personal connection to a movie they've been watching for 30 years, And so that's really the fun part of doing the convention stuff is that you get to sit with people and just geek out, without any shame, and they're dressed in full Freddy gear. And, I pull out my Freddy glove and they're like, oh, dude, where'd you get that? And we can just nerd to our heart's content.
Yeah.
And I bring my Freddy glove to shows. And when I was at Scarefest, I had these little wristbands. And the wristband says, what would Freddy do? Instead of what would Jesus do?
What would Freddy do?
And so I would take them and I'd flick them at kids because it was Kids Day at the show. And I hit this one kid right in the head. He never saw it coming because he's blind. Oh. And I feel like shit. And Mom goes, it's okay. And I said, I'm so sorry. And he comes over and I said, do you know who Freddy Krueger is? And he nods his head. And I said, you've had the movies, Mom's played the movies for you. He goes, yeah. And I said, put your hand out real quick. And he put his hand out and I put my glove where he could feel it. And he's feeling the fingers and it's all makes sense now. It's been described to him, but he never, he couldn't really feel it, And so he feels the glove and he's like, and I put it on his hand and he's wearing it and Mom's just crying. Dad's taking video. And it was the coolest thing because I gave this kid something he couldn't get any other way. My glove is made by the same guy who makes them for Robert Englund. So it's as accurate as it's going to be. And it's not sharp though, because I don't want to cut it.
No, I wore it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was this really amazing moment. This kid was just so excited. And so when you get to do a show and you think about, my career was really great. And I had more fun than you could possibly imagine. But then I get to kind of come back to a convention and talk to people who are fans and share it with them again, and they're excited to meet me and I'm excited to meet them. When we did the paranormal thing, I had them take me out for Southern food because you don't get Southern food up here. Southern California is basically Mexico, so it's not really the same. So they took me out to this place and I'm wearing my Lost Boys jacket and the waitress says, oh my God, that's my favorite movie in the whole world. And they translated that to what it meant. And she brings over a styrofoam bowl. Could you all sign this for me? I was like, hon, I'm going to be here for a while. Find something better than a styrofoam bowl. And so we, signed a piece.
Hey, believe it or not, that styrofoam bowl will be up on her wall later.
That's it, and it was silly to me in a way because I'm just Bill. I don't see myself that way, but she was so thrilled. She had so much fun with it. And so we took a couple of pictures, just sitting in this restaurant. And, for people who are, maybe in Alabama or Kentucky or, some other places around the country, they've never met anybody in a movie before. And the farther I get away from Los Angeles, the more interesting I become. Because in LA, you can bump into, George Clooney at Starbucks.
Yeah, it's everybody over there. Yeah.
In the right part of town, And so if you get into, Indiana or, some of these places, they've just never met anybody that was in a movie and it's fascinating to them. And that's great. It makes me feel really, really special that somebody who knows my work. People go, what were you in? I'm like, I was in a lot of stuff. And I tell them, I said, my work, you just don't know that you know it.
Yep.
And then when they find out, they're like, oh my God, just like Home Alone.
Yeah, I was geeking out with with James, because what Friday the 13th is probably like one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah, the first,
and I'm
the first
telling
one,
you,
absolutely
to
scared the
see
living poo at me.
to see James though, because like James is a good sized guy, and I mean to see him, I mean like when I think of Jason, I think of this real big guy, pulsating chest, like that, and I mean, and he went and he signed a picture for us and sent it right to our house,
Yeah.
and I mean it's just. And I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, man, you don't know. I mean, when I saw him with the mask on, I was like, man, that brought back so many memories of when I was a kid, because, when I used to think of like scary movies and stuff like that, of course it was Michael Myers, but like, I'm talking like the Jasons and the Freddys and, stuff like that, I mean, I can imagine how I mean, even going and like when you did that with the kid or whatever, with that, that kid will never forget that.
I lost you guys there for about 30 seconds.
Well, you probably froze. You probably froze up, and we have that quite a bit.
Sorry about that.
Unfortunately,
I missed a little bit of the story, but yeah, I met James Jude Courtney at a party maybe about a week ago, and he's a big mofo, a very tall man, but couldn't be nicer. It's funny. You see these people that play these, ominous characters, but they're just tall. They're just big. Nothing particularly menacing about them. They're usually very, kind of the gentle giant kind of thing. But when it comes time to do the show, yeah, get physical, get ugly.
Yeah.
James is, I mean, he's got this a great attitude, about it. He's so easy to talk to. And I mean, like he not only played Voorhees, he played Jason, but he played in 911 Nashville too. And I mean, like, and you can see his costume in both of them. And like, I can literally see both of them. It's like they picked the perfect actor for those.
And it's really, I know it's funny. I do some conventions and other times I'll go, oh, Bill's just a stuntman. We don't need him. And it's like, well, I get it. If I wasn't the actor in the mask, it doesn't have the same kick. But
that's not true.
Well, when I show some of the people some of the clips from what I've done, they're like, "Wait, that was you?" It's like, yeah. In fact, I know Ira Hayden fairly well, and he just did a show this last Saturday where he had a bunch of the cast out, and I was referring to him as my actor double. It's like, yeah, he does the blah 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 blah, all the yakety stuff, but all the good stuff, it's this guy.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like you got these movies like where people jump out of windows on fire and stuff like that. I mean, that's stuff that you remember. That's oh yeah, you must have been that guy. Oh, and then once you put two and two together, and it's like, oh wow, man. But that's one of the major parts that I remember from that movie.
And that's the funny thing is when people will come by my table and I've got that banner that you were looking at a minute ago behind me and people are doing this. And I have another banner that's got all the movies I was in, at least all the ones they would know. Yeah. So that's got Predator and People Under the Stairs, Nightmare, all these things. Well, people will see that and they're looking at me like, who are you? And if they sit and we end up chatting for a little bit, they're like, damn, dude, you're in every single franchise that I love. It's like, yeah. Like, yeah, man, I didn't know all that. And I when I went to Scarefest, there were so many people saying, who are you? I finally just did I posted a bunch of things with every movie poster of every film you might know that I did. I said, don't come by my table and tell me, I didn't know you were in that. I had my poster signed. You don't have no excuse.
You got it all right here.
Bring them all. And there were people I signed 10 posters for. They're like, damn, dude, you're in everything. I'm like, I've been very fortunate, you know, and now I can get, now I'm in all these cast signed, photos, which is really fun. Cause
Now, can you no, Bill, I mean, like, realistically, someone who wants to get in, as an actor or actress, and they do stuntmen, is it profitable? I mean, could you really make a career out of this?
It's so hard. I mean, I was lucky, and I'll tell you why, because all my buddies were like 5'10", maybe 180 pounds. Very typical hero stuff. If you're going to double Indiana Jones, if you're going to double, I don't know, a lot of actors, you got to be about 5'10" to 6 foot tall, 180, maybe max 200 pounds. But now you are now you are in competition with every other guy in town. Mm-hmm. I was one of 5 guys that was my height and roughly my weight. I could tell you their names even still. There was just a very small number of us. And so, since there were so many horror movies and so many TV shows that had kids, I got work all the time. Not because I was the best stunt guy in town, but because I was one of the only stunt guys in town. So, when we were doing Newsies, every guy I knew was working because there was a cast of, 25 teenage boys, and most of the leads. And I'm doubling 2 or 3 different guys on the show because there's just not that many of us to go around. So I do one scene, go change clothes, and then go double the other guy. So I was very, very fortunate. If I had planned it, I wouldn't have done it this well. I was just very, very fortunate that at the time, there was not a lot of people doing what I did. There was a huge demand, but anymore, no. I mean, CGI is taking over a lot of the major stunt stuff. It's cheaper, it's safer, it's faster, and they can get exactly what they want through CGI, and it gets cheaper.
He's frozen again.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
It's the gremlins.
It is. Now, I do want to mention when he comes back to us that he has a couple books that he needs to talk about for me.
Yeah.
I know we only have a little bit of time, but Bill, come back to us. He's coming, maybe. I don't know. Well, I will go ahead and say he's got 2 books out, unless he's got something I don't know of. And there it is. And that's one. And
I'm back.
There you go. I was bragging on your books while you were frozen. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your books.
I can't remember which. Is
that's the second one. That's the second
one. All right, we're gonna do the first one first.
That's the first one. That book started as the worst nightmare I've ever had in my whole life.
It's scary as hell. I'm gonna tell you now.
Scary as hell.
Yes.
Or hail, which is also scary because we never get hail. But it started out as a nightmare, and I just scribbled down some notes. And I do audiobooks. I record audiobooks for a publisher, a friend of mine in England. And I wrote the notes and I said, dude, what do you think? And he's like, that's the scariest freaking idea I've ever heard. And I only read scary stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he was going to write it. And I thought, let me give it a try. And so I wrote it out and he published it 3 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, you're going to publish this crap? And he's like, what'd you think I was going to do? I thought you'd tell me I was a hack and cut off my fingers and tell me never to go near a computer again. He's like, no, it's really good. I'm like, is it really? And I sent it to a friend of mine that teaches novel writing. And he called me from an airplane and said, tell me this isn't the first thing you wrote. I said, that is the first thing I wrote. He's like, I teach people for 4 years who don't do some of the things that you're doing very natively. He said, I think you have a skill you don't know. I'd love to know that's true. And so my publisher said, where's the second book? So that's the second one that she had up there out of his mind. So that's a sequel. Now, each of these books is only an hour. This is a fast read. Only because I didn't like writing it sometimes. It's very sad in some scenes. And these are real people. The guy's name is William because it's me. My daughter, I changed the names of my family after I wrote it because I needed it to feel real. And when I would write, and I guess I do have a good memory. The crazy thing is it played like a movie. somebody just had mentioned you got a good memory.
Mhm.
I never remember my dreams, but this was vivid. It was like watching a movie.
Wow.
A movie I was in and participating in the worst possible way. So he wrote to me and said, yeah, this is really good. And I did the show in Alabama, and somebody had said a movie. And I said, I don't know anything about writing screenplays. I'm like, you don't know anything about writing books either, but here we are. And so I bought some software that kind of helps you format things the way it needs to be. And I just gave it a swing. And now we're in pre-production. Gal named Catherine Corcoran, who was in The Terrifier, is our producer, and Scout Taylor Compton, who was in some of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. She's our director.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we've got some real, and Lee Waddell, my buddy that was Ghostface, is one of the producers. And so we've got some people who really know horror films. And I don't think of By His Hand as a horror film as much as a thriller, because I don't really show much of the gore. I can't watch that stuff. I can't watch Terrifier. I know people who can. More power to you. Go and enjoy. I can't watch people be cut in half. I don't know why that is. Gosh, I'm so sensitive. But in this
but then
one,
you're thinking of Freddy. I mean, like how do you not do that?
Yeah, but when you watch a movie made, it's like watching somebody paint your house.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not that entertaining to watch. You come home and you're like, wow, this looks beautiful. Knowing how it got there is dull as it can possibly be.
Dude, I'm telling you, I still remember in my head right now. It wasn't the fact of Freddy being who he was. It was the lead up that is bringing people to Freddy. And it was like the little blonde head girl. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
I can't sleep tonight. I'm calling you. Yes.
Those were Tony Caesar's kids. The stunt coordinator, those were his kids.
Oh,
they couldn't afford, so they had to sneak kids on the set because the budget was so low.
Yeah, so but that would hurt jump roping and stuff like that. When you saw her and you heard her jump roping and singing that song, that Freddy wasn't that far away.
Well, this is another one of those things where you're going to shake your head and go, how? I was Wes Craven's web developer. When I got out of movies, I decided I was going to make websites, and I became Wes's website developer. And so Wes and I would talk every week. He didn't even remember me from the movies we worked on together. Yeah, had no memory of me at all. I mean, sometimes I'm wearing, some sort of mask or makeup, so it sort of makes sense. But I was his web developer, and we would talk about writing, and would talk about why Freddy is so scary and how he. Like
the dream effect, the whole dream effect is like.
Well, think about the fact that like some of the scenes way in the background, you see something that's red and green striped.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. That's
true. And Wes did that on purpose with the idea of, I want you to know it's coming, but not the character. The character doesn't see it. He's, Freddy's over here. They don't know, but that red and green tells you that this person's asleep and this is about to get very nasty.
Yeah. What else would he wear though? I mean, there's no way. Like if you tried to put Freddy in like a flannel t-shirt, and Levi jeans, it's like, dude, who are you, dude?
Well, Wes was a humanities professor before he started doing movies. And one of the things he had done some research on is like how certain color combinations are disturbing. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason. There are sounds that are just innately disturbing from, kind of almost like he said, the glove and the knives on the gloves, we're all afraid of claws, whether it's a cat, dog, bear, whatever it is. You don't want to die by somebody clawing you.
No.
Giving a sentient, evil, horrible person. And what does he use? He's got like claws. So you're just instantly in fear no matter what. I don't know who you are if you're not. So he would use all the things that just were frightening to your core without even knowing anything about them. Those colors were disturbing. The sound was weird. And you cannot escape because you have to sleep.
No.
And you're going to fall asleep. And that's when he's going to get you.
Yeah.
I was trying to translate that. Did I say that right, Gwen? Get you?
You got it.
Get
Okay,
you.
good.
Hey, boy, watch out, boy. Gonna get you, boy. You gonna run and yourself. That's where you are, buddy.
Oh,
Yep.
you in trouble, boy.
See, you guys got to realize I traveled a lot last year, like to Wisconsin and that kind of stuff, and they
don't talk like that
loved
there.
it.
No.
They
Oh, I
loved
know. I can imagine.
Mine,
I can imagine. Oh, you little Southern belle, you sweet tea drinking joker, you.
it. And I am not a Southern Belle. Anybody that knows me.
I was
So it's
doing
funny.
a book for somebody, and she said, "Hey, we got to lose the California accent." Now, in California, we don't believe we have an accent,
Exactly.
and we
You
think
guys don't have an
we
accent.
talk like normal people. You guys are the problem. Hey, was that Maria or Marty? I don't have my
Marla.
glasses on. Marla. Hey, Marla.
Mhm.
Glad you're home. I hope you're safe. But one of the things that this woman said to me, she goes, "You talk like a Californian." And I said, excuse me, we don't have it. She said, "Say the word Y-O-U-R." And I said, okay, in a sentence. She said, yes. I said, so you're home. She goes, I said, what? You're home. She goes, you don't hear it? I'm like, what am I saying wrong? She goes, your home, not your.
Mhm.
She's right.
You're old boy.
I'm old, and it's sort of lazy kind of talk and kind of surfer, Valley Girl kind of thing. I never heard it until somebody, and now every time I say the word "your," it's like I'm listening. Am I still doing it? Am I still? So you kind of get used to this kind of stuff as you go around. But I love being in the South just because there's something very comfortable about the accents down there, and I mean, I think part of that is because the people I was down there with, Stan and Teresa and Gwen and everybody that I was down there with, were just the kindest, nicest people. So
We call that Southern hospitality.
We do.
Yeah,
All I
it's not
gotta
just
say is this: when you make
it's
your
a
first movie,
tradition. I'm sorry.
have one of your characters in your first movie have a Southern accent. That'd be cool.
What's funny about that? There is a girl that is a good friend of mine that's in Australia, and I know her just through the internet and through Instagram. And so I was writing the second book, and she was a big fan and was always helping me by kind of telling me, did I go too far here? And so I would give her these things. And so I'm just about to publish the second book. And I said, what do you think? And she said, it's good. And I thought, yeah, that one character, the nurse, she's just not real. And I thought, wait, she's Michelle. Now, the girl in the story has an Australian accent. She colors her hair quite often. She's all these things that this girl Michelle in Australia is. And she read the book and she's like, crikey,
that's me.
That's me. And I said, yeah. And she's like, you made a character after me. I said, I needed somebody vivid. I needed somebody who I could describe,
relate to, know
accent and how tall she was, what her, body size. I mean, it's so much easier to write a character when you've got a model that's practically standing in front of you.
Yep.
So it was a way to say thank you to her too, that this character is named after her and is her. She said when she read it, she's like, that's the craziest, coolest compliment ever. And it's like more of a thank you. You won't be playing yourself in the film, I promise you. Yeah, need a bigger name.
We are past our time. We're past our time going on. Can you tell people really quick how to get a hold of you?
The easiest way on Instagram, I am at Webs Craven, like WEB, and then SCRAVEN, like Wes Craven, but with a B in there because I was his web guy. Mm-hmm. And you can see my books on Amazon or Spotify or Apple Books or any of those things. It's 1 hour. It's all of $1. I'm not making any money here, I promise you. But if you do love a good scary story, it's actually me reading it too because I like doing audiobooks. But I'm going to get 18 cents out of this. So I'm clearly not telling you because I want you to go out and make me wealthy. Take a very long time, but I do like
all in one place.
I do like to help tell people about the book because when people enjoy it, I mean, as an artist,
that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Somebody's like, dude, I got to page 23 and I stopped. What is wrong with you, man?
I was sitting there going, I met this man. Going, oh no.
Now, I'm just going to say, if I offered you a cherry Danish, would you take it?
I don't think so. I'm so sorry.
Read or listen to the book and you'll understand why you'll never eat with me ever again.
Mm-hmm.
I read it like right after I got home from Deep South, and I was like,
yeah, it's pretty dark. But and I what I really think is good about that is that I made a character that you cared about. And so when things happen to those people, you know, you feel something because I created a character that was real for you. And something happening to them in your imagination is still affecting. And that's what you want your art to do. You want people to come away going, oh my gosh, you know, I couldn't believe you did that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, and then you're like, and one of my friends, I'll just tell you real quick, a guy asked me, so what was it? I said, what do you mean? He goes, what caused this? And I said, what do you think? He goes, I know what I think, Bill. I need to know definitively. Is he crazy? What's wrong with this guy? And I said, is it bothering you? He goes, it's bothering me a lot. I said, well, now I'm not going to tell you. He's like, why? And I said, because welcome to horror. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to wrap it up with a nice.
You don't ever tell secrets like that.
Well, it's not even so much a secret. I know what it is, but it's just one of those things where it left him unsettled, and that's what it was for.
That's what it's about, right there.
Yeah, I'm not going to put some Scooby-Doo ending on this thing. Oh, it was Mr. McGregor. Yeah,
or choose your heart. It's more like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, you know.
I want you to get to the end of this and go, holy crap. That's so sick, you twisted, terrible person. Now. Yeah, you're welcome.
Exactly.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for being on, man. You've been a phenomenal guest, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And it's so good to be seeing you guys again. Gwen, just love you to death. Can't believe it's been so long since I was down there.
It has. We need to meet up again.
Yeah, I would be coming this year, except I got another show somewhere in Florida.
Well, you never know where I'm going to pop up these days because I travel.
Right.
True. She materializes in places. She's a witch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she does. She shows up in places for sure. That's for sure.
It's like The Thing. You know, you just never know. All of a sudden, or it was this guy. Now it's Gwen. I mean,
yeah. Well, Bill, thank you so much for being on, man. You've been an awesome guest.
Watching this, you've mashed that go learn subscribe button now.
Yeah,
you don't want to know what I'll do.
That's right. Read his book. You don't want to know.
You don't want to know. You don't want to see me in a bad mood.
Well, Bill, I won't put you in the back, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother. You've been great.
Have a great evening.
All right.
He is awesome.
Well,
see why I know. Him on? Yeah.
I know that's the problem with these is like when you have a good show, the hour goes by so fast, and it does because you have so much more that you want to talk about, especially like once you get really started. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you check out his books, check out his website, check him out. He's an awesome guy.
Yes.
But thank you guys for spending some time with us, and you guys stay safe, be blessed always, and stay spooky, people. Peace.